digital arena, on the app, on your smartphone, on X, YouTube, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Basketball in March.
The Donut Bag presented by The Sportscast.
The Donut Bag, hosted by Joey Bag of Donuts. And here's your host, Joey Bag of Donuts.
I always want to start an episode with dancing. We're dancing while we're listening to the theme song. Top of the morning to you, or top of the evening to you. We are recording this on St. Patrick's Day, and no, we didn't coordinate. If you're watching this on YouTube, me and Darren are wearing the exact same hats. But yeah, so if you go out, I mean, this is a Tuesday. Are people going out to doing St. Patrick's things on Tuesday, or is that just a weekend thing? Did everybody do the things the previous weekend?
I kind of think everyone did everything on the previous weekend, especially today, where yesterday morning we were 60 degrees and warm, and then we had at the airport 6 inches of snow. So I don't see people going out tonight. I mean, maybe the Green Bird will keep you warm if you go out tonight. I don't know.
Darren, did you get that? Did you get that snowstorm last? I don't think that came up your way.
You got a little bit more than we did for once. We only got about 3.5 inches. You guys got more than we did.
That is, it was the snowiest 60-degree day ever. They said, yeah, we got about 6 inches, and like I didn't really pay attention. So I was out in the night. It was like 6:30. I was like, oh, it's a little bit snow, but it was so warm. The snow's not gonna lay. Boy, was I wrong, because the snow just kept coming and coming. And driving home at 7:30 was an adventure. Absolute insanity that we got our second biggest snow of the season on freaking middle of March.
Well, it's like my wife and I were talking about that last week or something. March always has that one more big middle finger to say, hey, guess what? Because I remember that blizzard of '96. I mean, that was brutal. You guys remember that?
That was on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we got
on the parade, 24 inches of snow in '93.
So that year, the parade, like St. Patrick's Day, I believe, was on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They had the parade.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was insane. How much snow did they get then?
23 inches in 1 day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was the largest amount of snow in 1 day, because like when we had Snowmageddon, that was multiple days, and back in 1950, that was over 2 days. So it was more snow for the snowstorm, but in '93, it started in the morning, finished by evening, and it was 2 feet of snow in 1 day. And I remember because I was down WVU, we were on spring break. I stayed there, and luckily, I mean, I hate to say it, I was happy it was spring break, because you couldn't get anywhere anyway. And they wouldn't shut down school just for like 2 feet of snow. But I know people who were like, we're going to drive down to Florida. And they made it to Charleston, West Virginia. They had to stop that night because it was getting that bad. And they came out and their car was completely covered in snow, and they were stuck there for the whole week. That was their spring break.
And I mean, we just got snow here, like a huge amount of snow a month or two ago, and that was only a foot, and that was huge. I can't imagine double that. Holy cow.
Yeah, Snowmageddon. The one thing I remember about that is we were living in Coriopolis at the time, and I remember being out there shoveling, and the National Guard was going up and down the streets. And you sit here, you're like, holy crap. And they had only in Pittsburgh. It's like the sign that you shared earlier, which we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. Only in Pittsburgh with that National Guard. And it had to have been some kind of uniform violation. Only there would they have terrible towels, draped on the SUVs. Oh my god, I can't think of what they're called.
The Humvees.
The Humvees. Humvees going up and down the street in Coriopolis and Moon Township with a terrible towel on them. Yeah, we're snowed in, but we got terrible towels. So yeah.
I was just. Oh, by the way, welcome to the Donut Bag Podcast, part of the Sportscast Network. If you want to join another conversation, go to YouTube's Joey Bag of Donuts, or I believe you can do it on Twitter, and we're also streaming on Instagram. Oh, by the way, I always forget that, like the whole reason we're here. But me and the missus, our little St. Patrick's Day hack is we don't like to go where it's super crowded, so we don't go to the traditional Irish bars or whatever. We go down Greenfield, and it's our favorite place anyway. Big Jim's in the Run, and she likes to have a Reuben sandwich, and Big Jim's has a Reuben sandwich basically the size of your head. And I had a Philly cheesesteak, which was amazing, and the fries are amazing. Everything is amazing. Every food that I've ever had at Big Jim's is amazing. But what was interesting was next to the sign for Big Jim's was actually a sign that said, "Welcome home, Coach McCarthy." Brought to you by Icy Light. But that just is puzzling to me because his family's bar is across the street, and I remember he's been asked about Big Jim's. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do? Have your Steelers press conferences at Big Jim's? He's like, that was the competitor. That was our family's competitor. I don't think his family still owns that bar, but still, it's like they have the competition, and now they're putting up a sign saying, "Hey, welcome home."
That's too fun. That was the best pick that made my day today.
I was in shock. I'm like, oh my god, this is the most Pittsburgh thing ever. Big welcome, Mike McCarthy sign. He has to show up there. He has to visit there at least.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, especially if they no longer if they're no longer competitors.
Right.
Then it's a neighborhood place at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a decent
Hopefully.
sign. I mean, they probably paid a decent chunk of change for that. It's a nice colored sign and everything. I thought it was great, and the Yinzer vibes are rocking and rolling with Mike McCarthy right now. And I just thought that was great.
You know what? He's undefeated as Steelers coach, so far we love him.
Right.
But it has been an interesting past couple weeks for the Steelers. The free agency started a couple weeks ago, and we have some interesting additions. A couple weeks ago, we got the trade for Michael Pittman Jr., which was huge. And then also additions: running back Rico Dowdle, cornerback Jamel Dean, punter Cameron Johnston, because I guess they love Bill Burr lookalikes. They just got defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day and safety Jaquan Brisker. Of all those, which was your favorite addition?
I mean, if we're talking anything, it's Michael Pittman. Just because we've been yelling for a number 2 wide receiver forever, it seems. And, we know that they were close for the last couple years, and then the trade fell through or someone got injured, and then all of a sudden you're like, we have George Pickens and somebody?
Right.
And then we
had DK Metcalf and nobody.
Yeah. Now at least we have not 2 number 1s, but we at least have a very solid number 2. You're not. Now you still need. In the draft, if they draft 2 or even 3 wide receivers, I would be very happy. Or they pick up 2 and get a third, non-drafted person to get some extra depth. But at least they're not. The only thing I see that they're desperate is a left guard. Because right now you got basically the guy you had as the tush push specialty in Spencer Anderson now is your starting left guard, who he filled in, but he may be a good starter, but then you're really thin on your line. So the left guard, you need help there. You still need some, but everything that if you would have filled in 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, say, okay, we need wide receiver two, we need defensive line backup. Uh, we're going to need a
Cornerback.
number two. We're going to need a running back. We're going to need cornerback. We're going to need some safety help. You're like, okay, we got that guy, that guy, that guy, and they're not like retreads or he was really good 4 years ago, then he got injured and we think we can catch lightning in the bottle. It's like these are people who had pretty decent years last year.
Another Darius Slay. We don't need that.
I would
Darren,
agree.
what was your favorite addition?
I would agree with Dave because the enormity of the need, right? I really like Jaquan Brisker and I like Neal. I really feel as we sit here tonight, we have probably now one of the premier backfields in the entire league. I don't think our backfield was that bad last year. I think that's but we really needed an answer. And, like to Dave's point, we could draft 1, 2, 3 receivers for the amount of picks we have. But there's a danger you run into a Roman Wilson. We picked receivers before number 1 or number 2 that were big, 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", and we know they didn't work out. Lyman Sweet, start going down the line. So I'm glad we got a quality guy. 80 catches from a carousel of quarterbacks that really weren't all that impressive at all. He's a workhorse. He's also tough. He's going to go down. He's going to stick blocks. He's going to work hard for you. I fully suspect he's going to be a guy, or expect he's going to be a guy that's going to come in here, probably good for another 70 to 80 catches, 8 or 9 touchdowns, and that's exactly what you want out of the number wide receiver, number 2. And so I would agree on that just because of the need. You could have brought a rookie in, but you never know. We just had a great new wide receiver come in. He was such a head case and made so much trouble, that now he's in Dallas on a franchise tag, because I'm not so sure Dallas is all sold in giving him a multi-year deal because of his Antonio Brownness. So it's I'm glad that they did that. They brought in an established guy, and Joe and I talked about that too, Dave, last week, and I think he hit ahead. Now I was kind of hoping by now, but there's still time. I was hoping the guard. There's still some guards out there. A guard, and they probably need a linebacker. I think Patrick Lee's going to be out of here. So I think a linebacker to guard or guard's going to be the thing. If not, you might see them in the draft go guard or linebacker or wide receiver. I think now that kind of comes or slides into play, right? Like a Price is Right game. Slides right in there. I think up until Pittman, it was wide receiver all the way. Now that you got Pittman, well, could we get a left guard? Could we get a linebacker? We can get a pretty good linebacker where we're drafting at. There's not a lot in front of us.
Yeah, or we have 12 draft picks, so saying we're going to give you we'll give, or even right now, like I said, there's outside of guard, there's no really, oh my goodness, we're completely screwed unless, someone gets injured, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we'll give you our number 1 and our number 4 draft, or our number 2 and a number 4 one of our number 3s, and go up with someone in the early second round. So you'll have a late first, early second round, and that way you'll get more, and you still have tons of draft picks. Like I said, this was a year this is our quarterback year. We have 12 draft picks. We're going to give you all. We're going to go. Not this year. So, or like I actually saw a couple of drafts earlier today going for the guard for Penn State.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't say his name, Darren. You're the Penn State expert here.
God, it's Oga Gabi.
Right, Ola Vega Ione or something.
Yeah,
I think
his pro day's tomorrow, actually.
Vega,
which the Steelers. Yeah. He's the only guy going on day 1 tomorrow, and the Steelers are all in. They're there for him. The Steelers apparently like what they saw in Drew Aller at the combine because they're sticking around for day 2 for him. And as well as the lake. So I mean, they're looking at those two hard. I think they're looking really at the guard from Penn State pretty good. and he's highly talented. So yeah, he's probably going first round.
From what I understand, he is a can't miss, surefire, awesome prospect, and the only reason that he would fall to the Steelers at 21 is because who the hell wants a guard in the first round? But the Steelers did draft a guard many years ago in the first round, David DeCastro, and he was that surefire, you know, start for 10 years and you don't have to worry about that position kind of thing. So I'm perfectly fine if they get this awesome guard and just plug him in, and there is your offensive line for like the next 5 or 10 years. All those guys, like, you don't have to draft anymore. You have to, you can draft them late or whatever, but there's your line. Boom, you're set. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am too. He is a large human. He's only allowed 1 sack since his freshman year. He had, I think, 2 out of the last 3 years he was at least penalized offensive lineman in big cat. So he plays smart. He's a good kid. Got a good giant head on his shoulders. He's a very safe pick. And, you know, Dave, I think a couple weeks ago you said it on here, and I agree with you. I don't know if we're picking the 21. I have a funky feeling that we may be bouncing up if they like a guy enough. I don't know if the Steelers are. I know I don't want to be that guy, but we're in Pittsburgh. The draft in Pittsburgh, it would be a very, just like the sign at Sunny Gyms today, or Big Gyms. I keep saying Big Gyms. It would be a very Yinzer thing to do, to move up and grab a guy there.
Yeah.
There are rumors that the Steelers are going to make some kind of splash. Now, remember, as soon as they announced the draft was in Pittsburgh, and that was like 2 years ago, we've been saying, okay, when the draft is in Pittsburgh, that is when we draft the chosen one, the quarterback that will lead us to the promised land. And he will be wonderful, and he will smell nice, and he will kiss all the babies, and
the potholes will be fixed.
Yeah, he will fix the potholes on his days off. And then, you know, the quarterback class of 2026 basically dried up, and it's like, okay, but what are the Steelers going to try to make a splash? And the only way now, if they get a guard at 21, that's not exactly a splash. I think people would be, the hardcores would be happy about that, but still, it's not a splash. But if they trade up for whoever it is, I hope it's not Ty Simpson, but if they trade up for someone, that would make a splash. Because if you hear the Oakland Raiders have made a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers, people would go nuts. They say the Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock. So, yeah, that could be the move. I keep hearing, yes, they're interested in this Ty Simpson, the quarterback from Alabama. No, they're not interested. They're actually interested in Carson Beck or something like that, or Drew Aller or whoever. But I do not want Ty Simpson, because the more and more I hear about this guy, he is basically Kenny Pickett 2.0. Nobody else wants him. What makes you think we would want him?
Yeah, you don't want to just pick a quarterback to pick a quarterback.
Not in the first round. Yeah, I said. Now, if you're going to get Drew Aller in the 4th round, go for it. That's great.
I think he can. You know, now he had a stellar combine. He helped his draft status a little bit. You know, because he played a broken ankle. He was out for most of the year. So, and one of the things that they're doing now, and I think that's really coming to, they're looking really at. They're kind of calling it the effect of Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold famously had a horrible combine. But then when he went to do his pro day, he had a great pro day. Because you're back with your receivers, and it's like, you know, so the pro days are starting a little bit for quarterbacks to be more important than the combine. So if Aller has another great day on Thursday with the Steelers and a couple other teams watching, who knows? But I agree, Dave. 4th or 5th round, if you can get a guy like a Drew Aller or Beck and bring him in, great. I'm not sold on this Ty Simpson guy. I told you guys before, I'm not so sure I'm sold on Mendoza. Great kid, great story. I loved everything but even as a Big Ten guy, he sat there like, this is great. He loved everything about the way he did with his mom, his Heisman speech. But I'm just like, wow, is he okay? And the Raiders are going for him. They invested in Ty Linden.
Oh, yeah.
So, but Joe, I'm with you. Ty Simpson can get picked by someone else or fall in the later rounds, like maybe Dave thinks it will happen. I agree with him. So, yeah, I don't think quarterback's where we want to be.
I think Mendoza is just a very nice quarterback. He's not number one overall over the entire draft. Good. He's just nice. He's a nice quarterback.
Now, I'll say this. The Raiders aren't there yet. But if you have a good, solid quarterback to fill in and the rest of the team's really good, you don't need superstar.
Right.
The Eagles won the Super Bowl with a quarterback who was good, above average, but not elite.
Yeah, it brings it.
Sam Darnold was not an elite quarterback this year. He was really good.
He was just really good in that system. Yeah,
it's such a fine line. Like, and I agree with that. Like, do you need an elite quarterback? I think that they're proving more and more. No, you don't. Now, are you going to say no? Hell no, you're not going to say
no.
Like, you want a Tom Brady, Joe Montana, John Elway type guy coming in here. But they're proving time and time again, you can go in there with a Sam Darnold, a Trent Dilfer, a Joe Flacco, and go and get a Lombardi with those kind of guys. Brad Johnson with the Tampa Bay Bucks back in there too. You can go with a guy like that and go get yourself a Lombardi.
You do have a lot less wiggle room, though, because you need to have everything else ready. You can't say, oh, we're having issues. We have a superstar quarterback who can make it up. Literally.
That's just it. When you
like
have that superstar quarterback, then he basically puts the entire team on his shoulders, and that's it. And that's nice, but if you have a good team with a pretty good quarterback, you're well off also.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, after all, Josh Allen has, and he is, superstar Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, superstar. I can't put it. You don't want to put it all on them because it's a team game. Dan Marino went to one Super Bowl, second year in the league, never went back. Had an amazing career. Had one of the best careers ever. Never sniffed a Super Bowl, and that was before you would have the quarterback taking up a quarter year franchise money.
Right.
It's like, oh, we're paying our quarterback $50 million. Okay, so that's great. How about the rest of the team?
Well, and that was something, Joe, I was thinking about today. But you can say whatever you want about the Steelers. I think they've had a pretty good offseason. I'm not trying to get too Yinzer or too Steelerly about it, but I think they added the right people. Dowdle's another guy that they added that I like. They wouldn't hear from you on Dowdle yet. But they drafted Dowdle like 2 minutes before we went on the air, like half an hour before we went on the air last week. But we like that one a lot. But you look at the Dolphins; they have $175 million in dead cap space. I mean, they're in real trouble. They have a guy like Tua. You're right. That's playing in where the hell is he? Atlanta.
He's going to be the starter in Atlanta for some reason.
Brought in Wilkins, and I would have been upset if the Steelers would have paid what the Dolphins paid for Wilkins. They have guys going everywhere. I mean, Waddle, they're still playing a big part of his salary, although they did get some return investment from Denver today on Waddle. But to me, Denver got better. Denver got a lot better getting Waddle. Nick's throwing the Waddle is really, really attractive for Broncos fans, for fantasy owners, whatever you want to say. But, you can say what you want about the Steelers. There's a lot to complain about. Joe and I were texting back and forth. Tom, there's now that Connor Hayward is gone, there's only 3 guys since 2019 that have gotten an extension from the Tom Colbert area. There's nobody left, not a damn player left since 2022 draft.
2022 draft.
Yeah.
they're all gone. Every single one of them is gone.
But
Okay,
you know what? That draft produces 3 Super Bowl champions.
right.
Chris Olonekon and Kenny Pickett
Kenny
is a
Pickett.
Super Bowl champion.
Yep.
So
Yeah, so we're not perfect, but we're not the Miami Dolphins either, who are sitting there in financial ruin right now.
Right. And I think Colbert's last 5 drafts were just bad. And it could, it wasn't that as a career it was bad. He was bad. It was maybe like we said about Tomlin. It's like, okay, it's time to move on. You maybe, and honestly, I hate to say it's true with a lot of jobs. If you're doing the same thing for decades, and the games, especially as quick, football changes so much. You go, we need a bunch of heavy people because all the running games are really good. Then all of a sudden, 2 years later, it's now passing. Everyone forgot about running backs. Okay, great. Your defensive linemen you all got are no good against the pass now because they were good run stoppers only. It just happened. And that was what really hurt us is Ben was getting old. And when they brought in Mason the first time, Ben got all pissy about having a replacement. And Tomlin, whoever just didn't say, Ben, look at your age. You're not going to be here forever. We need to have a replacement. Or, something, at least 2-3 years down the road. So we got to develop it now and get over yourself. You have a Hall of Fame career, act like an adult. But because they didn't do that, they waited until Ben basically retired to get the replacement in Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife just a little bit ago, and she's not much of a sports fan at all, but like she loved that sign for Mike McCarthy, and she jokes like, "Well, we know Mike McCarthy won't be here for 20 years." It's like, yeah, that's a good thing, just because, like you said, Tomlin way overstayed his welcome. Colbert way overstayed his welcome. It's good that you've had success. It's good that you are good, but at some point the game does not work. You don't. It's very hard to maintain that for all that time. So yeah, it would be nice to say, oh well, we've had 3 coaches in 55 years or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, but sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes, so if McCarthy's only here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that's okay. He could pass it on to someone else, or something else can happen. But having a coach and a GM forever is not a good thing, because eventually they lose their mojo. They lose their game falls.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that it seems like the national media. I was watching Get Up or Good Morning Football, one of the two, right after the opening day of all the trades here, there, free agent signings. I'm sorry. And a lot of them were kind of crappy on the Steelers, especially Mike Greenberg, but he always is because he's jealous. He's a shitty Jets fan, excuse my language, and he's drowned in sorrow. But still the big question mark is, what are we doing at quarterback? Now, I'm still comfortable if they bring back Aaron Rodgers, but old man time is out there. He's going to catch up with you at some point. That's the only concern. If the Steelers are all in on Will Howard, I'm all in on him too, Joe. I mean, we didn't get to see him. I mean, that's the whole double-edged sword of this. Like, oh, you can't go Will Howard. Well, how do you know? We didn't see him play. But then if I sit here and say, well, I'm all in on seeing how he does, you could say, well, Darren, how do you know? We didn't even see him play. So, it's true both ways. But I'm more comfortable with the Aaron Rodgers, Will Howard than bringing in Ty Simpson into the fold. That's just where I stand.
There's all kinds of speculation of, do they really love Will Howard, or is this just a smokescreen? We will know, because if they draft a quarterback this year, then we know they're not that crazy about Will Howard. If they do not draft a quarterback this year, that means they love Will Howard, because you can't have 2 young quarterbacks and Mason and Aaron Rodgers. That's just too many cooks in the kitchen. So you could have Aaron Rodgers, and here's your starter, and let's hope that old man can go down a flight of steps, and then you could have Mason as your backup, and then you have a young guy as your third guy, and that's it. You can't have 4 people. So whatever they do, that'll tell you what they think of Will Howard. They draft someone, they don't like him. They don't draft someone, they love him. That's all. Another thing, let me quick. If most likely Aaron Rodgers is here, and let's say they do love Will Howard, and it's just Aaron, Mason, and Will Howard, that would give Will Howard, and let's hope that he has a full preseason and all the preseason games and stuff like that, but that would give him 2 years to just sit back and learn from one of the best ever, possibly the smartest quarterback of all time. You cannot have a better teacher than Aaron Rodgers. So if Will Howard is the guy, I would be really excited about him in 2027, provided he has a good preseason.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers between him and Malik Willis, we talked about that a little bit. Each worth 4,000 yards passing, almost double the touchdowns. So, and they have him for a lot less than the Dolphins. So I'm very comfortable sitting here with Will Howard and giving him a shot and see what he can do.
And I'll say I would still not be opposed or too upset if they get someone in the 4th and later round, or if they keep their third supplementals, which are pretty much early fourth rounders anyway. Pick up someone then, but not if they pick up someone in the 2nd round. That would, I mean, no. Like I said, late third, 4th round. Having an extra arm, because Aaron Rodgers is not going to do much until the first game of the season.
Right.
He's not playing preseason. He's not doing any. You need 3 quarterbacks, maybe even a 4th undrafted person just for a camp arm. And you know what you have in Mason. So I really see if we bring, if Will Howard's your, the one that you really want to see, he's going to be playing a lot of preseason games.
He's going to play all the preseason games.
I want to see a lot of that. I want to see some Mason still, because he still needs to get back. But, those 2, and then have a third person as a, say, hey, by the way, if you don't get picked up by someone else in the league, we may give you a call as an emergency third person if injuries happen. Yeah. This year's Duck Hodges.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Malik Willis. Hey, good for you. You got your money, but you joined a team that just clearly is tanking, that just gutted themselves. Look, Malik Willis, he hardly has ever played. He's only played like 1 or 2 games, really.
Right.
He sucked. He was terrible in Tennessee, and he was pretty good in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. He still needs to prove himself, and now he's going to have to prove himself on a team that absolutely sucks and is willingly tanking for the march for Arch. Miami's done this before. Tank for Tua, and look how that turned out. When you tank, that means you gut your entire team. What they have like $175 million, and they're paying people that are not even on the team. It was an absolute joke that they're just completely tanking. But when you do that, you get rid of all of your good players. We just talked about this. You don't just need a good quarterback. You need a good quarterback and the rest of the good team. And if you do that, if you just have one good player, you are screwed. You're basically the Raiders. So
that's to my point, Joe. I mean, that's why, you don't want to grab Ty Simpson in the 1st round. If you grab him, you grab him or Drew, whoever. Get him in the 4th or 5th round, pay him 4th or 5th round money. Because these guys that wrap this money into, I mean, I don't know what the Raiders are going to end up paying Mendoza, but it's going to be astronomical. And we've seen the Raiders do this before with Jamarcus Russell. It's like, it's so mismanaged, the money, even though the NFL has a salary cap, which we've all said we'd love to see in Major League Baseball, especially with a low ceiling. Then you force guys like nothing to spend. Um, but then you get into these things where, you know, the Ravens are paying what they're paying, their guys, and the Dolphins are paying what their guys. And you're sitting over here like, hey, we're sitting pretty. We're sitting pretty. We may not have, our thing may be we may play a guy that is a rookie, which is what the hell's the difference between Will Howard starting next September than Ty Simpson, or we're having a 42-year-old that's going to turn 43 in December, veteran, oldest quarterback in the league guy starting. Okay, either one of those guys are on a affordable salary, and we're sitting here, we're figuring it out, and we're hopefully building a foundation, or we're going to be competitive this year with either one of those guys. Meanwhile, like you're saying, and Dave's saying, you're the Miami Dolphins, and you're like trying to figure out how to rob Peter to pay Paul, because we got Tua here, and we got Malik Willis coming here. Oh, by the way, Malik, we just traded Jalen Waddle to Denver. Denver just got better with Bo Nix, who has a manageable salary, by the way. And, we got first-round picks. We'll have 2 first-round picks. We'll grab you a receiver. Hopefully you get good chemistry with them. I don't know. But, my God, we would be – Steelers fans would be losing their crap if we were in the same situation as, say, the Dolphins or the Falcons. And what are the Falcons doing? You have Penix. You have – oh, my God. That's why you don't want to do the Ty Simpson thing, guys, because then you're the Atlanta Falcons of the North.
Mm-hmm.
My God. It's like I almost would never want to pick a quarterback in the first round because of this crap. Obviously, you've somewhat given up on Penix, and they can sit there and say, oh, we haven't given up on Penix. Well, but how do you figure you haven't given up on him with what you're spending and who you're bringing in? So I at least we're not there yet. I would say this, Joe. I was a little surprised. I thought maybe by this show, opposed to last week, we may have had more of an idea if Aaron Rodgers is going to be our quarterback. So I'm a lot worried, but will by next week we know, because I'm hoping it's coming sooner rather than later, because to Dave's point, the draft's now, 45 days away? And you got a lot of picks, but we don't know yet about Aaron Rodgers, and we need to know, the Steelers need to know before the draft.
I think the Steelers do know.
Yeah.
I think it's the exact same situation as last year. He waited until June or something like that, or right before mandatory minicamp or something like that. I think it's the exact same situation. I think last year they said, "Listen, don't worry, I'm there. We're not going to make it official until June, but don't worry over that." I think the exact same thing is going on now. Now I don't think Omar Khan even said, well, it's not going to go as long as last year, and I don't think it's going to last. But I do think. I'll bet a week before the draft. I'll bet that's when or maybe a few days before the draft, they're going to make the announcement. Aaron Rodgers is signing, and he's going to make his big announcement on McAfee or do whatever, talk about his.
Well, they have stuff going on. They have stuff going on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of draft week, right?
Probably.
So I could see something happening there. Oh, we're going to go Mark Hall here. And here in Pittsburgh, and I have an announcement to make. Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and everyone's going to be, yay! And we all knew it anyway. And unlike last year, where it was like, well, is he going to pick Pittsburgh? Is he going to pick Minnesota? Where is he? No, he's not going to Minnesota this year.
One of my friends who works for the city, so the set building they got the planning. McAfee's coming in Wednesday night. I think Pat McAfee shows he's going to be there. Wednesday or Tuesday night. I think Pat McAfee show is going to start through the Wednesday, Thursday in Pittsburgh. So that alone will draw some people, because you know how he is. He likes to open that up a little bit. So that'll be going on. And to Dave, that might be, you might be right on. And Joe too. He might make his announcement on Pat McAfee. I wouldn't put it by him. I wouldn't put that scenario to bed for sure.
I'm going to be there Thursday night, draft night. So if I see Pat McAfee, I'll tell him you guys said hi.
Okay, so it must be Tuesday that he's going in because I tried to draft Tuesday. So.
Okay.
You're going to be in person.
I'm
day one of
going to
draft
be
night?
there Thursday night for draft. Yes. I
Brave
hit
man,
crowds.
brave man.
I am brave. I know. Now, if there's even a forecast of one drop of rain, I'm chickening out. There will be. I'm looking for excuses, but I have committed to going. As of this moment, I'm committed to going. So I will attempt to go, and we'll see. Who knows? It might snow then. We might get another snowstorm. It's what, mid-April.
It is Pittsburgh. It could be snowing.
It's happened.
Yep.
It's happened. The one thing I'm really curious about, and this is something that's kind of limited. This isn't like general population Pittsburgh we're curious about. Do you and Joe, you know what's happening the week after the draft?
Is that the
That's marathon weekend.
Pittsburgh Marathon. Okay.
Yes. So I'm kind of curious because it's going not only be on the north side where they're going to tear up a bunch of trees to put up stuff around the stadium, but it's going to be Point State Park. It's going to be all how much of a turnaround we're going to have within really less than 7 days, because the 5K is on Saturday.
Right.
So we're going to have 5 days of turnaround, maybe 4 days of turnaround. It's going to be like dealing with the Kenny Chesney concert with the cleanup.
Right.
Clean up, straighten up, get the roads back in shape, and then start to, put all the barriers up for the marathon the next week. That's a lot back to back.
It's going to be a very busy week, and I think it's going to be very interesting because all of this construction that's been going on for like the past 2 or 3 years, and everything's under construction and everything's all screwed up. Well, it's all going to be magically ready for the draft. So I'm excited that it's actually. I'm not going to. I thought that Pittsburgh was a giant construction cone for a second there. So great, right? So yeah, it's just going to be so many people. It's just going to be. I don't think we've ever had that many people in one concentrated area in Pittsburgh before. We're just not that big, people. So we don't have that many. The area. Unless bring a raft or tiki or little tiki island or whatever. Yeah, just hang out on the water.
Right.
The water's going to be crazy too.
What's the over and under? How many people are going to end up in the Ohio River?
Totally.
Jets fans willingly throwing themselves in it.
That's true. Yeah.
Drunk people falling into it. Yinzer's getting offended because someone's going to be from Minnesota or Dallas saying, "What's this icy light stuff sucks." It's gonna be. It could be.
It kind of does, but yeah.
I can't promise I'll be nice around Browns fans or Ravens fans.
Right.
Well, you know what? I'm willing to give Browns fans because of pity.
Yes.
Ravens fans not, especially after the crap they pulled with Matt Crosby.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do... No, he's injured. No shit. You knew that when you did the trade in the first place.
Today they said there's talks that they are going to get slapped with losing at least one or more first-round draft picks.
Really? Wow.
Probably a money slap on the wrist.
Probably like a fine or something.
Probably a $20 million fine or something.
But if they lose a first-round draft pick this year...
That'd be awesome.
That would be great. If it was this year, that would be great, because even like Max Crosby came out today and said he went and did the doctor's appointments, then met with the president GM. And on his way to the GM meeting, they called him and said, "Hey, we had a problem with one doctor. That
they were looking for a way out, it seems."
Right. So then he has lunch, excuse me, or whatever, with the GM and president. And by the time he sent him back to his hotel, he's supposed to have dinner with them. His agent said, "I think they're pulling out of the deal."
And they told him, I was like, no, everything's fine.
Yeah,
they kept him there all day. They kept him there all day, and they knew they weren't going to do the deal. They really did him dirty.
Right, which I'm not that he's some expert, but he knows. There's a lot of stuff on my wall. There's Quince, there's Parrothead, Dale Earnhardt, a bunch of friends of mine signed a picture when I was out with cancer for a golf outing. I got all stuff on my wall. I do not have an MD on my wall. My brother-in-law does. And he even said, you're only 8 weeks out of a meniscus tear.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know what kind of testing they could have been expecting. Not necessarily doing, but what they were expecting out of that to fail it. He said that would have been more of a, expectations probably more mid to early to late July, So, it's like, I think you got the cold feet, like you guys said, on the first 2 draft picks, and then to get Trey Hendrickson like the next day. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be the miserable Yinzer fan because it's the Ravens. I'd be saying the same thing if it was the Arizona Cardinals or the Tennessee Titans. Something's rotten in the state of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine. I wish the NFL would do something.
It happened that morning, like 7 a.m. They announced, "Oh, we got Hendrickson." Like, come on. Now, I think Crosby, from Crosby to Hendrickson, is a downgrade. I think Crosby is the better player. So I think, like, for the Steelers, as far as the Steelers are concerned, they kind of lucked out because I think
I would say
Hendrickson is hurt too. Hendrickson had like core muscle surgery, so it's not exactly like he's perfect.
Getting everyone 100% healthy. But now the only thing is he's a step down, but they do keep those, at least for now, those draft picks.
Right.
I'd rather them have Max Crosby, who's coming off an injury, and lose first round draft picks.
2 of them. Yeah.
That's and I understand if you're the Ravens, you are all in now. Because you're like, okay, Lamar has 2 to 3 years maybe about being peak if he keeps himself uninjured, and after that, then we're gonna have to rebuild. They're in win-win now.
I just hope they change the rules. Just change the rules so to stop this stupid legal tampering crap, and just say, okay, don't announce a trade and then say, oh, it's actually going to happen 3 days from now. It's like, no. You announce a trade got to go through.
It's done.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, my suggestion, because the NHL does this, would be you have your team doctors and then you have a league doctor. And the league doctor goes in and says, yeah, okay, this all looks legit, or I agree, or I concur, whatever it's going to be. And that way, at least there's somebody there that has, some, ambiguity to him or unbiased opinion, whatever way you want to put it. But yeah, I just, it's just crap.
Yeah. It would be nice if they were penalized in some way, even if it was a fine, just to acknowledge you guys, you did them dirty. Because what they did was they screwed up the entire, whether intentionally or not, they screwed up the entire process.
Oh yeah.
Dallas would have traded for Crosby if they knew he was available, but he wasn't. So then they traded with Green Bay for somebody. So it screwed everything up, and it's just a really bad look on the Ravens.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only good thing for the Raiders, at least, is they still are not in cap hell. With them keeping Crosby's contract.
They spent a lot of money, but they had a lot of money to spend, and so they could have taken. Imagine if they could not take Crosby back. Then we would have had it. Then there would have been a disaster.
You almost wish that would have happened, Dave. That they would.
Worst case scenario, that would have actually had issues.
Yeah, if they wouldn't have had the cap space that they did, and it would have forced, like you were saying, Joe, forced them into a problem. Like, well, wait a minute, we went and spent all this money, predicated on the fact that we knew we didn't have to worry about his salary anymore, and we already spent the money. We've already signed these guys here, so now Max Crosby's, like you said, floating in that dead airspace. I almost wish that would have happened. I think that would have forced the NFL's hand to have done something.
I just checked the Raiders' schedule. They do not play the Ravens.
Oh, I did too. I looked at that.
I would have loved. They play the Browns, but I would have loved Crosby went against the Ravens. That would have been the fun. He would have had like 8 sacks that day or something.
Yeah. Right.
We'll see. Well, okay. Well, we'll see. We still have some time till the draft, and we'll see if maybe the Steelers will make some more moves. But I think a very encouraging first couple weeks of free agency. So we will see what happens. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Good to see you again, Dave. Thanks, Joe.
You do, Darren.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Have a good one, everyone.
Mhm.
Yep.